Well, I believe we are at a point where we're going to call the meeting to order at 7:08. The following members are present: Nicole Calero, Frank Johnson, Mark Leonis, and myself, Stephen Linsky, the secretary. Marty is still not available, so I saw that thing, so that wasn't going to happen. And same, I guess, with Stella, perhaps. So,
what's going on with Stella? Is she okay?
I think she's all right. No, I don't know that she's unavailable. She just hasn't come into the meeting yet. That's about it.
Yeah, probably working on their new house, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, they were moving, so that's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of moves. Anyhow, so there are, as best as I can tell at this juncture, no members of the public that have appeared for the purpose of offering public comment. So I think we'll move on to acceptance of the minutes. Thank you, Nicole, for preparing those. And I'm sorry, I totally forgot that you that you had. Because when I start to get into meeting mode and having to send the minutes and the agenda to the city, and I'm thinking, okay, what's happening? Where is it all? Or whatever. So that was very nice that was already prepared. I attached those minutes to our meeting notice. Did everyone have an opportunity to?
So if you're talking about the invitation to this meeting that you sent a week ago, there was no attachment to that email.
If I didn't attach, well, I did, and the one that went out this morning.
The one I got from you, the only thing I've gotten from you today is the Manchester's bill.
Yeah, you got that. You didn't, no one got?
I got it.
Yeah, Frank, yeah, because you responded, right, Mark?
Yeah, I got it.
Responded.
Yeah, it was the minutes and the agenda.
Yeah.
But hold on.
You're right. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, the last thing I got from you, aside from the one today from 5 hours ago, is from 8 days ago.
Nicole, check your spam folder for a second.
Yeah, I don't see why it would be in there, but I'm happy to, because everything else you're sending.
I'm just curious because it goes out to the big mailing list. And
yeah, maybe I'm not on the big mailing list.
Oh, I'm gonna I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of asking for money.
That wasn't me.
No, it's not. It's a lot of places I do give money to. But
Okay.
It's the usual.
Nicole, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to forward it to you now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have it from I have it 11:41 a.m. today.
Who is it? Is it a BCC list, or is it the larger Easthampton Community Garden list?
It's the larger. It should be the larger.
I definitely used to get those, and the last time.
Actually, yeah. Nicole's not on it.
She's not on it. Wait, what are you?
I'm looking at the one you sent this morning, right around noon. It's got the Zoom link in it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it says reminder, Community Garden Committee meeting, 7 p.m.
And her name's not there.
Wow. I don't understand that. I'm also, bear with me because I'm trying to track it down. I want to see it. Is Stella's?
Nope.
Hold on. Are you on it, Mark? I just left.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my iPad, and I just see Ben, Don, Frank, Laura, Margie. Mark.
Oh, it didn't go out. Well, hold on. +2. Yes, I see. Oh, I thought I had. That was supposed to have been to the big mailing list. The hell happened here?
That's why we don't have any public comment.
All right, hold on.
Yes, Stella's not on that either.
Yeah, I see that. I don't. Geez, I didn't. I should have paid a little closer attention when it came back to me, but it was. Wow. Okay. Well, that explains that. I don't understand that. Has it come yet, Nicole?
Yes, I have just got that. Thank you.
Okay. Well, anywho, I'll give everyone a moment to review.
Yeah. Typo. Okay.
Oh,
I guess we can't approve.
Uh,
Oh, we can approve as amended.
that's you approved as amended.
What's the amendment you would like to make?
Under outreach report, I just left a P off of posted, and that's gonna.
it's,
Oh.
it's posted.
Oh, they ousted. Ousted. Okay. All right. Well, let's note that. Okay. So there's a motion from Nicole to adopt the minutes as amended by adding a P to the outreach report. So it reads as posted. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, Frank seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'm raising my.
Yeah, you're accepted. Okay, any opposed? I see none opposed. The minutes are adopted unanimously by vote of 4-0. Okay. Okay, all right, that takes care of that. Okay, that brings us to Treasurer's report.
All right. So I have submitted the signed forms. Thank you all for signing. That will to Valerie, who is the head of the department, to which I need to submit that. Of course, I can't remember her last name or the head of the department. Starts with a B. Anyway, I emailed it to her earlier this week. I have not received a response from her. In the meantime, I've put together a spreadsheet of our expenses, the invoices that I have in my possession, not including the one that you emailed earlier to me today.
Okay.
So if you would like to make me co-host, I'm happy to share this with everyone.
Yeah, sure.
Screen? Okay.
Neat.
Okay.
All right. I'll make this as painless as I can, folks. Not everyone's as into spreadsheets as I am. All
Oh,
right.
I'm into them.
Okay.
I love spreadsheets.
Can everyone see it okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So up here in green is what the information that's pertinent to our account from the green sheet. So I color coded it green. It's important to remind ourselves of this information every year because the fund and department numbers will never change, and neither will the line items. So those things will carry forward year to year as we create a new green sheet, and they're important for when we submit things.
Good.
Up at the top is the name of the vendors that we have purchase order accounts already open for. Those accounts were opened earlier in the year by Laura. So when she opened those accounts, she designated what I've put as the budgeted amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
She budgeted that amount for each of those vendors. And as I explained in the last meeting, the purchase order works as like an encumbrance. We set aside some of our existing larger funds specifically to pay these vendors these amounts within for the time that this particular purchase order is open. The purchase order is not tied to the fiscal year like the rest, like other accounts will be, because our account is not tied to a fiscal year because it's donation based. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. So the budgeted amount for each of these purchase orders, underneath, I've made a list of the invoices and organized it into the columns that go along with the purchase order number that goes along with the vendor.
Okay.
So far this year, we've gotten 2 invoices from Flurries that total $226, and we have $223.60 remaining
Okay.
of that, for that particular purchase order for that business. Bless you. So I didn't have anything in my pile from Bear Path,
So we're all paid up on Bear Path?
to my knowledge, but I'm happy to reach out to them to double check. All I know is I don't have any invoices from them, and I can't pay them
Yeah.
from the purchase order without an invoice.
I mean, my recollection was that we owed them money in the past, but I didn't know if it ever got paid off or if it was all the delay because of this, switch in treasurers. I mean,
Right. I don't have a physical invoice for them, so I will have to reach out.
Yeah, they might have given up on us or something, which would be sad.
No, they could, if we don't have it and it hasn't been paid, they could generate another invoice.
Oh, sure they can.
Yeah.
I just wonder if they, it seems like it had been like a year or two since they didn't get paid, and I wondered if they just wrote it off as a bad
We'll
debt.
find out. I'm happy to reach
Yeah,
out.
so Nicole, you're just saying that in going through all the invoices that you have seen,
Right.
you have yet to see one for Bear Path.
I have yet to see one that's outstanding for Bear Path, but it's a little hard to tell. What I have for outstanding invoices are the items that I collected from the mailbox recently, and also the invoices that Laura had specifically clipped to identify them as the outstanding invoices for me, because the binder is very large, and I am happy to reach out to Bear Path
Yeah, just give them a quick call.
just to be sure we don't owe them anything.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We had one invoice for Easthampton feed for $9.97. We had two letters of back payment, and you'll see the dates are a little scrambled because I was just entering things as I came across them. So the latest invoice I have for them is for the winterization that they performed at the beginning of November. And it was for $125, but I also have two letters and a pile of invoices, none of which are dated.
Awesome.
Yes, saying for various amounts, saying that we're past due. So the letter that we received in October was for $350, and the letter that we received in March of this year, these are both from this year, was for only $250. So I think that, and I'm going to write to them, I'm already in touch with them,
Oh, good.
to say, am I understanding correctly? I think that all we owe them, not all we owe them, I think what we owe them is a total of $425. But I want to or $475, sorry. I think we owe them the amount in the letter dated October and this new charge.
Right. That makes sense.
What do they, tell me again what they do for us?
They're the ones that do the irrigation system. I mean, the water. So what they would have done here at the beginning of November is the water's cut off. So then they blow the system. They get all the water out of the pipes so they don't freeze in the winter.
Okay, I get it.
So they purge the system basically.
Yeah. Well, Nicole, if I see the confusion, but I do believe that between this past March and this October, so I see that we've got two letters with different amounts. I don't think that any new services were provided, right? So if there is a new service, it is that 125.
Yeah.
Referenced right by the invoice of 11/6. Okay, so that is clearly a new charge. So then the question becomes, okay, what represents any past due, right? And presumably those letters would be reflecting something. If there was a past due, one of those, in other words, the 250 reflected in the March 21st and the 350 reflected in the October 4th can't be for any new service.
Right.
No.
Well, let's put it this way. What I mean is that the 10-4 one couldn't be, there's nothing that they would have done for $350, Frank. Is that right, in terms of the beginning of our?
No, I'm kind of with Nicole's head here. I'm thinking the only thing I'm looking at from March to October was, okay, we owed them $250. They did something in that time period that was $100, so they added that to the $250.
Okay, is there anything that they do in the beginning of the season, Frank?
I cannot.
They turn the letter on.
Does the letter say?
Because they don't turn anything on, because the city does that.
City does that.
Okay, so.
I'll just give them a call, find out what they're.
No, I'm going to clarify. Okay, they're there. I was like, where did I put that pile? So basically, what I have is like I said, I have a pile of invoices from them, which don't have invoice numbers, which don't have dates. And some of them say like some of them do have notes on them which say late letter, and then they provide dates such as like 12/30, 2/19/20, and then on a different one it has like 4 dates, 7/8, 9/5, all from like 12/30, all from 2019. And
So
then
the invoicing is kind of confusing, it sounds like.
right, so it's not clear, and I'm making my best guess that at some point, and I'm going to confirm, you know, the latest letter that we have is for a reminder that the balance due on your account is for the amount of $350, and that is dated from October. The one that I have previous to that is for the amount of $250 and was sent in March. So it implies that there was a $100 charge in between March and October.
Which
I don't have a clear sense of what it is because none of these invoices are dated.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, all right, so I guess the point is, at least at this point, we're somewhat unaware of anything that they would have done between those 2 dates.
Right.
You know, I guess, you know, the one thing they may do, Dawn would probably know this. They may do a pressure check in the spring
Oh, okay.
to make sure there aren't any leaks anywhere.
No, just
Okay.
call them up, say, what are you charging us for and what are you charging us?
Yeah. I mean, either that or maybe it's a typo.
We shouldn't have to play guessing games.
I mean, but of the invoices I do have, some of them are for $150, some of them are for $100. Like I said, none of them are dated or numbered, which is not.
Do they have a reference number?
No, they don't.
That's silly.
Just a
Right.
blank piece of paper with this is what you owe us? That's pretty crazy.
No, this is here. So it says, and to make it worse, it's very faint. So in the upper corner,
Yeah.
where it should be like, is that the right corner? Oh, sorry. You see we're here?
Yeah.
All of them look like this.
Dude.
All of them. The only clear dates are these late letter dates that they've included.
Right.
Invoices.
No reference number at all.
You
Huh?
don't even really see the amount in the bottom. Like there's an amount right above the word thank you, words thank you.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have a reference number, or if not a date.
They don't have, that's my point. They don't have reference numbers, but
So I think that'll be part of your conversation with them and say in the future, when you send us an invoice, please date it or
all of them, like,
otherwise indicate.
on the fly, all of them. And the only one that's clear, the clearest of the bunch is the one that was mailed to me or mailed to the office on 11/5. That's dated 11/5 of this year for the winterization.
Where are they located? Where's the business located? You know?
Southampton Road in Westfield.
Westfield. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. They got a funny way of doing business.
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, I am in touch with their secretary. I've let her know because she had reached out. She had emailed Laura at one point about this. And I answered her and was like, I'm in the process of getting authorized to pay your bills. And so I am perfectly fine with saying like, okay, I've been authorized before I pay you. I want to be clear about something because I'm not interested in overpaying anyone by $250.
Yeah, right.
So on the invoice, it says what they did for that amount.
Yes, but I can't read it.
Okay, they've got to clean it up, Nicole. This is ridiculous. They should
Yeah,
be.
no, it's not very helpful. The most clear of the bunch is the most recent, and literally all of the rest of them are like indecipherable. And I will scan them so you can see how indecipherable they are, which makes me remember to say,
Yeah.
let me finish up my report before
Yeah.
Like, as you can see, and then the only cost we have for Manchester is for $162.97. There is a series of letters from Manchester, and it's basically like at the end of each month, they would generate a letter saying like, this is how much you owe. And it goes up incrementally due to
A charge.
there's no new charges. It's just like, this is our outstanding debt, and we've charged you another $5 because
That's fine, and they should.
And they should, at least.
Yeah. So Nicole, did you have a chance to see whether any of the things that Barbara forwarded today?
No.
I know for a fact that we haven't done anything at Manchester this year. So
Yeah, I actually have a question about the second item. I have no clue what that is. Like, there was one invoice, that the first email where you asked, like, could it be possible to get a copy of all the invoices? And she sends this statement from Manchester, which matches, like, it's a little bit higher than the last one we received.
Oh, okay, so now it reads 165.28.
Right. And
Yeah, 'cause it's
It's a new finance chart. So let's do, okay.
just change that here. Boom.
Yeah, and you can change the date to make that invoice of November, okay? And let's pay that damn thing. Honestly,
Yeah, who's there to take them?
if there's top priority, and the good news is that, the PO covers it, okay? Thank God.
yes.
Okay, so we have the monies.
Yeah.
That is top priority.
Don't confuse the PO with the actual amount of money that we have. This is just some of our money set aside for bill paying.
Right, no, I know that. No, what I mean, though, is that, see, let's get back to Broadbrook for one quick second.
Sorry,
It's okay, it's okay. So if it turns out, as you think, Nicole, that the correct figure for Broadbrook is 475, it's the 250, excuse me, it's the 350 and the 125, right? In other words, the balance had been 250. They may have done something for $100, like check the pressure, etc. And now they've recently done one other service for $1.25. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Because we just have a PO prepared for a budgeted amount of 400. So now, if that was correct, we're $75 over that. Correct?
Yes.
Would that mean that we would have to generate another PO to cover that $75?
The short answer is I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's my guess.
My understanding is that we do have to, because they're an existing vendor in the city's system,
Yeah.
we do, like, the PO system is required,
Yes.
and when I did the trading with Heddle, she kind of was like, let's cross that bridge if we come to it. And it looks like we might come to it.
We might come to it, yes.
I just pay them the 400 and then they can wait till we get it.
Well,
They could carry over the overage to an invoice in the spring.
Yes.
We're gonna need to generate.
I definitely agree with Mark. Let's pay him what we can, period.
Yeah.
Just get that out of the way. I mean,
They can carry over the overage to next year and
yeah,
put it
I mean,
on
they
the-
get lousy bookkeeping. We shouldn't have to jump through hoops for them.
So it seems like, Nicole, that we should be able to pay Manchester's bill, Easthampton Feed's bill in full, Flurry's bill in full. That's the 226.40, and Broadbrook at least 400. Right. So those are all things that literally just have to get out the window, and particularly Manchester before they close up their books. Whatever, it's just not right.
Right.
Yeah. The good news is there's not an overwhelming amount of bills to be paid.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Just want to clear the decks here. Thanks, Nicole. You're doing great.
This is great. I love this spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's an awesome spreadsheet.
If you want to, Nicole, forward it to me, so I'll have it in my file as the treasurer's report.
Okay. I am happy to share that with you. And I wanted to put it in the drive for the Easthampton Community Garden email.
Oh, okay.
But I am unable to log into that email, even though Margie supplied me with the login information.
Okay. So actually, you want to get this on a drive, where we can create a folder. What I can do is that if you get it to me, I can upload it onto our drive.
Onto the shared drive. All right. I'm emailing it to you right now. You won't be able to I don't think you can move it out of my drive. I think you'll have to make a copy.
That's okay, I think.
But I would love to be able to access it directly so I
Yeah.
can click on
Yeah,
it
you
and the
should be able
updates
to.
are real time in your
Right.
drive, in that shared drive.
Yeah, and I don't know well enough to know how to do it, but maybe let's get back with Margie and try to facilitate that for you, because I agree, it should be directly in.
Yeah. So I just shared it to you with your email address, and so you should be able to make a copy and put it in there.
Okay. Now, the other thing, Nicole, is that we need, we just need a simple treasury statement about, past, where our account lies.
I don't know. I have yet to hear from Valerie about our current balance.
Well, do we know that it's per se anything different than than the balance that we've been operating on?
Shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be, but I honestly don't know at this point.
Yeah, maybe we can establish some rhythm and routine with them wherein they would give us periodically a balance. I mean, is that too much to ask?
They are supposed to periodically give us a balance.
Yeah.
And Valerie was out before the holidays because of a death in her family.
I see.
So I will nudge her this coming Monday. I don't want to be, I'm sure one of many tasks she has to do, and I don't want to overwhelm her at this moment. But I will remind her that I submitted the form, ask her to acknowledge that, and then say, am I cleared to go ahead and submit these, and can you confirm the current balance?
Yes, excellent.
Oh, so let's be clear, when you say submit them, what, in other words, tell me, what does that mean exactly?
Literally, it means that I submit the original invoice along with a green sheet, which I have a copy of,
Okay.
to be signed off by two different departments.
Right, Jeff Bagg, right, in planning.
Right. Jeff has to sign it first, and then it goes for a second signature before the checks are issued.
Okay.
And then when I asked Heddle, I keep mispronouncing her name, Heddle, to how long that approximately would take, her response was 3 weeks are an average if everything goes smoothly, but it can realistically take more like 4 to 8 weeks.
Oh, God.
Unbelievable.
This is, and this has to do with human workflow.
Yeah, all right. Oh, God, this has been such a nightmare.
Yeah, no, Bernier, Valerie Bernier, that's her last name. Wrote that down. So, yes, my follow-ups will be to email Valerie to ask for confirmation that the authorization signature sheet has been accepted, to ask for our current balance, and then to submit copies of invoices with a green sheet to Jeff for the bills that we are certain of, which will hopefully include a final total from Broadbrook.
Yeah, it's just Broadbrook, but everything else is very clear. It's just Broadbrook.
Yeah, and I will also reach out to Bear Path
Thank you.
and ask about, and if they have an outstanding
Yeah,
debt from of
so we
that.
can clear the deck, as it were.
Okay, yeah, but don't, but Nicole, I think that's a good thing to do for Bear Path, but it shouldn't hold up anything else.
Oh,
No,
no, of course not. It's just an inquiry.
I'm just saying, I don't want to just kind of hold this whole thing waiting to hear back from Bear.
No, just do everything else and give them a quick call and keep moving.
Okay, so, all right. Well, thank you. It's at least getting clearer, and I think that this is a good setup with this sheet, the way it's done here. So that's great.
Yeah, it's easy to follow.
All right. Okay. Well, so I mean, let's do this in our voting to accept the treasurer's report today, as reflected as we did last time. Let's re-endorse those purchase orders. Okay, so that the record will show, Nicole, that not merely that you've been authorized, but that the invoices have been presented and endorsed. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion.
I motion that we vote to, what we'd say,
We're adopting the treasurer's report
adopting the treasurer
and we're endorsing the invoices
endorsing the invoices
from the treasurer's report.
from the treasurer's report.
Okay. Is there a second, Mark?
So help me God.
Okay, Mark, okay. All in favor?
I do.
Is there any opposition? I don't see any. So by a vote of 4-0, the treasurer's report is adopted. But more importantly, it's a recognition that there's been an endorsement of those purchase orders as set out in the treasurer's report.
Excellent.
Okay.
Cool.
Operations.
Well,
Right?
everything's put to sleep. And our wheelbarrow from heaven is still there. Hey,
Excellent.
I'm gonna put those because I need to go up. I still got to straighten up my plot. So I'm gonna put all the coolers inside the shed for now. Is that all right?
Yeah, we can do that. Although, here's the thing. Well, I was going to report on this, and I will. But what I was going to say is that in one of the coolers now is a load of carrots. And that is because we had been harvesting Steve Minnie's.
Oh, he had a lot of carrots too.
And then, right, he did. And then, so Marky was kind of in touch with him, and there was a communication from him saying, okay, I don't know what to do with them, etc. So we indicated that we would harvest them. But I didn't harvest all of them at the same time. I was doing them in batches as we went along this past month. Then I saw a communication that Steve, when I went into to set up this meeting and went into the drive from like November 24th, that's something to the effect that he had found a recipient for the carrots. And incidentally,
I'm out at the garden.
carrots, there are a few small potatoes, and then there are these things that are, I don't know if you've looked at them, they're kind of big, round, and heavy. Beets, maybe? I don't know. It's like, I don't know what to make of them. Also, he indicated that he said there was a row that had been taken out, and he said, and I think that the critters got my cabbage.
Oh, that was us. We're the critters that got.
Right. So I did write to him to the effect that, when we were, examining for the carrots, we saw the cabbage that was beginning to suffer the effects of the frost, and
the animals.
Yeah, and so we just thought, we could salvage a few of those heads, and we did salvage them, and they were part of our contribution.
Yeah.
So I hope he doesn't feel too badly about that.
Well, I hope not either. I saw this beautiful cabbage, and I said somebody's got to use these before, because a couple of them were starting to go bad already. They were.
Yes, they were. Yeah, no, I saw them with you. Yeah.
And we, just made an executive decision, if you will, to give it to someone who would eat them instead of just letting them go rot in the field.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, so I did, and I haven't heard any response back from him. But when I saw that, I said, because I had the last batch of them, and I was about to bring them over on Monday,
right,
to the community to the community center, and I wrote back to him and I said, okay, now I see your email. I will bring them back, and I'm going to put them in the cooler so that they were, accessible but safe.
Or he could find them.
So there they are, and they have a fair amount of dirt on them too. I mean, there's no way to.
Yeah.
All the water's off, so there's no way to clean it up.
Right.
So it's a little messy, Frank. That's what I was going to say. But it's okay.
I'll leave them out there for now.
Well, yeah. In fact, I sent him a reminder email today saying, I just want you to know that they're there in the cooler.
Well, if he doesn't pick them up within a week or two, I would just take them to the community center. I mean, what the heck? They're not going to get any better.
Yeah, because I harvested some more of my carrots like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe even a week ago. And I still have a few in the ground. I'm just going to leave them there. They're safe there. They're fine.
Yeah, remarkably, the carrots were in pretty good shape. I mean,
No, they're fine because we haven't gotten really, really, really cold.
yeah,
And I've had them at my house here with a good snowpack on them. I've harvested carrots in the spring, like they were parsnips. I got like 5 pounds of carrots one time.
Wow.
yeah.
Some of them were rotted in the top, but then there were other ones that were perfect. And the ones I was pulling up from the community garden, because I had these ones up there called Black Nebula. And they're these crazy, long, primitive-looking carrots. I'd never seen anything quite like them. They're awesome. But they throw shoots off like ginseng does. They're the weirdest carrot I've ever grown. And they're purple through and through. You can dye clothes with these. I did a lot more research on them. They'll stain everything when you're cutting them up.
Wow.
My wife put some in risotto and it turned the entire thing purple.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
So they're heavy in antioxidants. But I still was pulling them up. And they don't want to come up. They're like an impacted wisdom tooth. I mean, you have to really dig down and work them out.
like my burdock.
So the carrots are fine, man, until we get down in single digits, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did have the beginnings of, the frost and the ground hardening. Although his plot is just beautiful. He's got beautiful soil.
Yeah, no, he worked that soil because he went in there by hand and removed every single thistle by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
entire day I watched him do this with a broad fork.
Yeah. Yeah, I did compliment him saying this was some of the best soil I'd seen.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's such a shame that he was leaving the cabbage and the carrots there.
I know. Oh, well, look. So I do want to also mention that because I've been tracking, I've been doing this the entire year, and Mark helped out in a couple of weeks that I was away in South Carolina. But just so people know, we donated, absent this last batch of carrots, where they go, approximately 223 pounds of produce to the community center.
Nice.
Over the course of the year. I mean, that's not a lot. I mean, that runs from June to through November, so it's modest.
I'm sure it was appreciated.
We needed more winter squash, then we would have got our poundage of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, right. That's what we've had in past years. All those things just really tipped the balance significantly. And just to give you an idea how extremely modest our own donation garden was, we harvested a total of 21.5 pounds.
Yeah, but that garden it didn't get started well. I'll be able to contribute plants next spring too, because we're gonna build a bigger grow tent here in the basement. So it won't be a grow tent anymore. It's gonna be a grow hut. So yeah, no, because I wanted to grow those pimento peppers that I grew. Those were awesome, man. They're really good, and they produce. We got a lot of peppers out of them.
Okay.
So just stuff like that.
Stuff that produces a lot.
What's that?
Stuff that produces a lot.
Yeah, that's the idea. That over at least a good 6 to 8 week period. That's what we'd be looking for.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, so we'll hopefully have a better donation garden. Can't be a lot worse. And then we'll just kind of straighten out and try to get people to understand on board. Because frankly, the reality is, in terms of what gardeners have donated over the course of the year, it's really just a few people, donating a lot of stuff. And what was donated was kale. It was really beautiful kale, but it doesn't weigh much. So we did have. I took photos of each donation we made, and I've kept the thing, so I have the whole year by photo, and we have full boxes. A lot of them are beautiful kale. They're just like.
Maybe we should measure volume as well as poundage.
You want volume
to buff our stats.
Yes.
if we get another warm day and I have time, I still want to go. I'm going to go up there and mow again too. You know, I was up at walking our dogs today with my wife up at Park Hill, and Russell had the bobcat. They've been mowing really low. They're mowing the entire orchard and even brush hogging stuff. And I'm gonna talk to him again. I saw him briefly, but we didn't have time to really get into a conversation. But I'm gonna see if he wouldn't mind putting the little dozer on the front of that and coming down and pushing our compost piles back into where they belong. We did that. Mehdi did that about 3 years ago before he left. And I don't know how to run a bobcat, but I know Russell does. And he may come down and do that kind of as an in-kind donation, so to speak.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. And Mark and I did bring the hoses in. You probably noticed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
But I want to mow again. I want to mow down. And even some of the abandoned plots, I want to mow them. And they'll be easier to walk now to look for rocks and stuff. But I want all that stuff down low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't detach the nozzles because
some of them are impossible. So
that may be. But also, what's the point? I mean, this way, you already have it. I didn't see the point in this.
Well, I mean, some of them are faulty though, and we'll have to cut those off. Which is then you're going to have a kind of a compromised hose in a way. But that's something where we could do like an inventory and see what we need in terms of, because we're going to have to buy male ends.
If we need to spend some more money in the spring, I think we should.
Yeah, agreed. And we're going to have to get a PO with somebody else. I don't know if it's with Abishan or someone like that. I think too, when we put the new nozzles on, we should use the white plumber's tape and put that on those threads. I think that'll help us be able to get everything off, because, you know, I had the same problem here at the house, man. I've had a couple times where I just couldn't get a nozzle off of a hose. Yeah. Didn't matter how many wrenches, how much wrench free I put on it.
I'm interested because we've used that white tape here, and I find it doesn't help. I mean, I don't know.
Help.
Like it's just.
Well, then I'll put some goo on there.
I could be wrong. Okay, I'm just saying my experience is, oh God, it's just still a pain. I'm trying to strip off that stuff.
Yeah, I'll just use some like hinge grease or something.
Yeah, that might do it.
That you know, we got to put. I don't know if it's something in the water. This water has a lot of minerals in it.
Could be.
It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, the pipes in your house will get limed up. We had our pipes by our boiler de-limed actually by a plumber about 8 years ago, because they were the hot water pipes, and the hot water wasn't getting hot enough in the wintertime up in our shower on the second floor.
Is there a way of, I don't want to take us too far, is there a way of testing for that? Or do you have to actually?
No, I mean, you would, I mean, it's just that if you start, because the water here in Easthampton, I mean, the water in my bathroom in the winter, when I pour it out of the faucet into a glass, the side of the glass fogs. It's that cold, the cold water. So it's just, and I have I don't have a hot water heater. I have the tank, so it just heats it up as it goes along.
Yeah.
But you would have to cut the water off when you're in the shower, then let it make new hot water, and then turn it on. You were fine. But then finally, I was up talking to them in Cernak, and I saw a pipe with lime on it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And she's like, yeah, it happens a lot in the hot water pipes because the hot water tends to leach more mineral out of the water. Yeah. So yeah, and not many plumbers do this anymore. And her nephew was a plumber who did, and now he's like a supervisor somewhere. He doesn't even go out on jobs anymore. And I'm like, shit, because it's starting to happen again. But yeah, it's weird. So I don't know if that's got something to do with like even with hose nozzles and stuff getting stuck on them. But yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, that was a tangent.
Yeah, a little tangent. That's all right. So we've managed, I think, to get through the operations report, the donation garden report. Unless, Mark, is there anything you want to add?
No, what I'd said at the last meeting, which I guess was Nicole and myself and Stella. Was that right, Nicole? It's the three.
According to the minutes.
Yeah, and I just said I wondered if, pertinent to the subject of having enough to give to the community center, do we want to expand our community garden, our donation garden efforts? I mean, do we need like an extra plot so that we can grow more? I know we're trying to serve more people, but I think the donation thing is an important piece. And so that's one thought that I had to think about. And then another question I had was, what's happening with that pollinator garden, or is that another agenda item?
Yeah. Well, I think that
Who's handling that? Is that really going to happen or not? I mean, somebody started it, but it didn't seem to get legs.
Well, I think that connect with Margie a little bit, because we should get clarity on that. At least there was some progress made on it this year. So
Right.
I don't see it as I think it'll continue. So it's good. We need so we only used half a plot, for the donation garden. So we didn't even use a full plot.
Well, let's use a full plot.
Well, we'll use a whole thing, but that isn't the answer to that's not the, and Frank's going to help out by doing over the winter, but that's not the answer, in my view, is not that we're can grow phenomenally more in a donation garden, which frankly, incidentally, no one is. Frank can help on the beginning, but it fell basically on me to kind of maintain it. So there's not a.
Well,
I have a group that's doing that,
and it's hearing myself.
And it's easier, and more productive, and much more variety, whatever, if everyone's willing to donate something that, from their own.
Ideally that's true. Unfortunately, we didn't have much luck with that this year.
I know, but I'm just saying, I think we need to emphasize that a little bit more.
I'm sure it's going to make a difference, Stephen. I think people get into their own world and they're trying to make food for their own families, and
right.
It comes out in the initial announcement at the beginning of the year. You are expected to donate something.
Yeah. There's always going to be something that kind of comes in over the course of the year in abundance. Maybe it's just like a 2-week period or whatever. That's all we're kind of like, and not everyone, frankly, is keeping up 100% with their plots. We know that.
Oh, no.
It's a fact.
The year before, I remember there was an empty plot, and then Grace and I put a bunch of squash in there. I don't know if it yielded much, but that's you need some space if you're going to grow winter squash.
Yeah, because we did that in that plot that Stella and them have now. Year before last, Dawn and her daughter came up and helped me and my wife. We put a bunch of winter squash in there.
Yeah, but if you're going to do winter squash, you need some room.
And it did okay,
Yeah, and we started it late. It was a little bit.
Well, I think, when we think about this, there's stuff we're going to want to put on the first agenda in the spring. I think the pollinator plot should be one for sure. The donation plot for sure.
I think we got to get some commit from people, because it's good to say, yeah, I'll do that. But if then they don't do it, sitting with.
It's Stephen. When we think about like what they really need down at the, at the community center, are there specific types of vegetables that tend to be more like a staple that we could ask people, plant, just put a little quarter of a row in, because this is something that they really look for at the community center.
Yeah. They've never indicated, but I think generally speaking, the greens that we tend to bring, we brought a fair amount of kale this year.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Mostly Margie's. And then, obviously the like stuff like, the carrots and the squashes, and that's the kind of stuff that is good, because it
right.
I think you could add tomatoes and green beans in there. Those are things that people like.
You could. Yeah. The problem with the tomatoes is that they wanted everything loose this year, so the loose. It's just hard. I grew the little tomatoes, but there was never enough at any point in time that I could bring them. And if I did bring them, they would have to be basket, and they rot. They don't keep great after being harvested.
No, I think you want to harvest them and then bring them right up. And I think cherry tomatoes are a good option too.
Yeah, but so anyway.
But yeah, my tomato plants got beat up pretty bad by the hail too.
Yeah. Well, I had, some of you might recall, I had ridiculous luck, not this year, but the year before with cherry tomatoes, where I had this super.
Yeah.
And I donated some, but it was more than could possibly imagine. So I think they tend to be more abundant. Anyway, those are a few
Okay.
suggestions.
Okay, well, the last item is basically, new business. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that is,
Yeah, at the last meeting, we talked about adding language to the application about, I brought up the idea of changing how funds are collected for compost,
yes, yeah,
suggested adding language to the application to make people aware of it. I know that personally, the way it's happened, the way I've observed it happening the past few years is that there's a pretty rapid turnaround between when the announcement is made and when the expectation of having cash in hand happens, and that doesn't always work for everyone's budget. And if we're going to continue with this idea that it's only a cash-based system, then we definitely do need to give people more time to put aside money for compost.
yeah, okay. Speaking of which, any update on the, with Laura on our petty cash?
No, I haven't heard from her about the petty cash.
So as best as you know, it's still MIA?
She still has it somewhere, and I can shoot her an email and ask if she's managed to find it yet.
Could you do that?
Yeah. Yes.
We like petty cash.
Your money.
Buys gasoline.
One more.
So typically, we wouldn't meet again till March. What do people think?
What needs to be thought about going into the spring?
Well, I mean, as per what Nicole just said, we've got to maybe redo the application form.
Yeah, the gardening application, we usually review it just to see if there's anything outdated or anything we need to update. We're still gonna have to revisit all the just everything with COVID. How are we going to be operating, at least initially?
Right.
Because we're not going to be getting these vaccines soon.
Probably not.
And so, there's a part of me that thinks it'd be good to meet in February, and there's another part that, because we usually just waited till March.
When do the applications go out, Frank?
Usually around.
Like I got mine in February this past year.
Yeah, so
we better meet.
we could meet in February. There's a calendar too somewhere. We done. I remember Rick did a calendar out for I don't know how many years. So just okay, this is what you need to do. We need to do by this date. Blah 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 blah. That may be in the drive actually. We can meet in February. It won't hurt.
Sure.
All right.
Do we have a draft application that maybe we can all take a look at before then and think about what should be added?
Well, we have the present. Yeah, I mean, the present one is the draft one, I guess. You want
Is that on the drive?
Should be. Let me just see if I have it in my. Right then. Well, if I have it, I'll send it to everyone. But
Be great.
Yeah, I got it actually Friday, March 13th this year.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was the renewal.
Yeah, because it's usually we would review it. I think we went over it like the first meeting in March, made whatever changes we had to make, and then sent it out.
Yeah.
If we met in February, it would be on the 4th if it's the first Thursday.
yeah. Well, maybe it's a good idea.
I, for one, would be happy to, for multiple reasons, as we now discussed, there's multiple reasons to consider moving into the next season and perhaps changing the application wording.
Yeah. Okay.
And funnily enough, I had an idea when you all were talking about the donation project I had an idea about pairing it with community hours and also that concept of the garden buddy, which we were unclear how utilized it was. That we could make it a demonstration, not just like a come and work on the volunteer, but a demonstration of how to grow particular types of crops.
That's great. I love it.
People who have never done it before.
Yeah. Community education.
Right. And then it's a presentation and now go do it. So, you know, like presentation and practice all rolled into one and counts as community hours if you're working like to do it in the donation plot. But then I was like, nobody can get that close to each other right now. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
it's frustrating because it would be a class and get like people's hands in the soil in the donation plot at the same time.
Nice.
We'll trick them into working in the donation plot.
No, that's the point. It's a Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, no.
Like you get like, oh, look how fun this is. Like, do you want to learn how to transplant starts? Do you want to learn how to direct seed these particular crops? Like, do you want to learn how to build a pea trellis? Like people who are new don't have these skills yet. And the idea behind the Garden Buddy program was to pair them up with somebody who would.
Yeah.
But like, let's, you know, like so much of the volunteer work, it's a little ambiguous who needs to do what when. And personally, even with the reminders, like we have these work days on these days, like again, like set days, set times only work for certain people.
Right.
Now that everyone's doing, like, I guess my hope is by offering more opportunities, then there'll be more people who can show up for them.
Sure.
And a different type of opportunity might spark a different type of interest. Like I personally could do some demonstrations. Like I spent this past season, like my buddy Susanna ended up with the plot next to me and she was a first-time gardener. She didn't always want to take my advice and that's fine. You know, I mean, it was her plot and her experiment and I'd just be like, you might want to try this. And she would be like, hey, and I'm like, all right, fine. But like presenting it as like a how-to as opposed to like,
That's
it's
great.
up to you to connect with one person and figure out, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, sounds good.
But how would it work with limited amount of people unless you use that?
Well, Nicole, we can do that in part. Yes, I mean, we don't know what we're walking into next year, but Frank's right. I mean, it may start off in a kind of still a COVID environment,
Right.
which incidentally, you know, now that we're at the end of this year, I mean, I think that the good news is that we managed to run our garden this year.
Yeah, it worked out all right.
All the restrictions, and no one that we know of got, you know, there were no ramifications, you know, negative ones, and people managed without our tools, and so
And we got a wheelbarrow from heaven.
considering where we were, you know, in April, it's somewhat miraculous that we had a garden, and I think it was very meaningful to people because it was one of those places you could go and enjoy yourself and feel relatively safe.
Yeah.
And it's excellent for your immune system to be out in the garden, getting all that vitamin D from the sun.
Yes, it is.
It's immune building. It's documented.
Not to mention all the other minerals and vitamins you get from what you're growing.
Exactly.
So so in many ways we should acknowledge that we had some success, but it may be a very tricky start in front of us. So probably a good idea to start it off early and try to organize as best as possible. I mean, I think that we're starting now to Stella's help would ever develop and if Margie can come back into this, a waiting list. So
Right.
you have people that can kind of come in and we don't have to worry about, vacant plots growing weeds.
Well, and I think if we have this meeting in February, it'll give us a better chance to get a jump start on the whole compost idea as well. And Yeah.
Well, and some follow through on what's expected of community gardeners, especially new ones,
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
getting their plots started and running and tending to it throughout the season.
Yeah.
And if you don't, what the results would be. I mean, I don't want to be too punitive, but I just think a lot of people, as we know, they start out great guns and then they just let it go to hell.
But Nicole, what I was going to say is that on the buddy thing that you were on the buddy idea is that we could maybe assign up, so you just kind of do it at least maybe by email, whatever. Hi, Nicole. I'm thinking of growing this, and this, or do you have suggestions? This is what I'm interested in doing, and so yeah, I agree because it may not be able to, kind of safely, kind of buddy up in the outset when people are planting, but that doesn't mean we can't manage somehow, like, do a like ask Nicole or something.
But that's the thing. If they're okay, so I don't know what the time difference is between renewing gardeners, returning gardeners, or like new members. I don't know if there's a way to disperse volunteer or the donation plots in, like, if we're talking about multiples, do they have to be right next to each other, or can there be like 3 in different locations to allow for this idea of like today in this plot, one person is going to teach like 2 people or 3 people, however many people can fit safely in a 20 by 20 plot, how to do this particular thing.
Sure.
Like, and it counts towards your volunteer hours to show up and learn it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if we have that amount of new gardeners every year. I don't know if the returning, and to have the returning gardeners be able to sign up for the opportunity to do that demonstration.
Well, also,
Volunteer hours.
I mean, Nicole, it isn't always sometimes new gardeners can be very expert gardeners. They're just new to our garden. And then there are returning gardeners like myself who are absolute, let's put it this way, non-expert. So it doesn't, the breakout may not be as
You have good raspberries, right?
well, yeah, so far. And I actually, because I checked over at the orchard, but because there's the little thing about whether you prune now or prune in the spring. So we'll see. They were great. I was very fortunate. So I decided I pruned half of them now.
Yeah.
And then I'll prune the other half in the spring, and I'll see if there's any difference.
There you go.
An experiment. But the point being, I would not put myself out as any expert in respect to anything.
Right.
But you could tell people about raspberries. That would be great, just if people were interested.
Yeah. 2 words, I'd say, dumb luck.
But I think you make an excellent point that a new gardener does not equal a novice gardener, and that is actually on the current sheet. I think is like, what's your prior experience?
Yeah, we do ask. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that having a number of people, like this past year for the mowing crew, I freaking created a spreadsheet because I love spreadsheets, and I'm gonna forget her name, the volunteer coordinator.
Margie.
No.
Oh, Stella.
No, that's not.
Oh, there was another person who had to kind of. She started off, but then she had to leave. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, what's her name? She emailed me and all of the other gardening crew.
Yes, right, she did.
And I created a spreadsheet, and I was like, hey, folks, like, we can use this spreadsheet to say when we mowed and how long it took us so we can track our hours, and then we'll know the last time somebody mowed. Nobody freaking used it.
Yeah.
Right.
I entered in like my scything hours on it, and that was like the only time it was used. So like it's this thing where even when you give people an opportunity to self-start, and even some structured self-start, like it's not always going to take, and that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
Like I guess I'm trying to say, like, it's a way to like get people to work in the donation garden if we offer them an opportunity to teach. And people
Right.
love to talk. I love to talk. I love to share knowledge.
Frank could talk about beans.
Right.
Beans.
Right.
which is a unique thing, like raspberries.
That's how you can show up and help plant, and that's like volunteer hours, like done in the community garden.
That's great. Even I could, when it comes to beans, even I can participate as a has-been.
Just yeah, I'm just trying to like throw out a new idea. Like I think that this like volunteering for specific crew, like I put in a couple hours. I have no idea what other people did. I have no idea when we needed to happen without communication with my cohort, and nobody was talking to each other.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just trying to think of a new way to get things done.
Right.
Do you want to learn about compost? Great. Show up with a pitchfork on this day. We're going to turn the compost and talk about compost.
how about all those people who want to know about weeding?
Oh,
Everyone should know about weeding.
that's a big one.
Actually, Frank, it wasn't that bad a weed season, was it?
No, it wasn't that bad. Part of it was because it didn't rain.
It was so dry, yeah.
Yeah, there's a one type of bean that I grow that I didn't grow this year. They're called Choppery Beans, and the more it rains, the less they produce. So I would have had an awesome year with them this year because they're a desert bean.
Mm.
Yeah, but no, the weeds weren't as bad. There's just we ended up with some plots that were abandoned.
Yeah.
The woman next to me can never have a garden again. Gabriella.
Yeah. All right.
She's abandoned for the last 3 years. So if we get an application for her, we're gonna shit can it. Oh, we're being recorded.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I mean, I will just if I can write her. Just say, look.
Well, no, we have rules.
We have rules. You have abandoned your plot the last 3 years.
All right. Okay, so it's agreed that our next meeting will be February 4th, the first Thursday in February, right after Groundhog's Day. So
Excellent.
we'll get to know how much more winter
That's right.
we have.
Yeah, we may get some snow this weekend.
And maybe the groundhog will tell us how many more weeks of COVID we have too. But
Ooh.
you know,
Yeah, man.
see if it's a talented groundhog. But okay, well, unless there are any other items, it is 8:14. And is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
Frank, motion to adjourn. Nicole, seconded it. In favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned at 8:14.
We
8:15 actually by the time the vote came. 8:15.